Hey guys, been trying to also do a couple things in the house. I'm very tired right now, but I'm about to go to my bed and sleep. But I wanted to talk a little bit about pay-per-view. So I was listening to this Javante Davis, Tevin Farmer stuff where they were talking about this being a pay-per-view. Oh, it's Fanat Boxing International. I'm really sleepy. Fanat Boxing International as well, and he was saying that Javante Davis, they're not quite at pay-per-view numbers yet, and I'll tell you why. He said that I think it was 500 or 450,000 views on Showtime for the Javante Davis fight with Nunes. Basically, it was just featuring Javante Davis. And he was saying that's close to Errol Spence's numbers. Errol Spence, when he knocked out whatever the guy's name is, the guy just before Nike Garcia, when he stopped that dude, it was about 600 views on Fox. Now remember, Showtime is a subscription-based product. Fox is not subscription; it's normal television. So that's something you need to factor in as well. So 400 views, that's not, I mean, 450,000 views to 500,000 views, that's good numbers. That's good numbers, okay? It peaked at Javante Davis. The card itself, I think. Yo, Jackson the Hopeful. Shout out to you, my brother. I think the card itself was about, overall, I think it was 400, 450, 425, something like that. But anyway, the point is, he said those are good numbers, but he thinks those numbers need to get up higher before they could really face a guy like Tevin Farmer. We know Tevin Farmer's at the zone, but I believe Tevin Farmer is, I think his contract ends after this next fight. I think Jojo Diaz. I think he's gonna face Jojo Diaz next. Now the thing about it is, and if Tank Davis fights Gamboa, that's a good fight. I'm gonna tell you, the Gamboa, no guy, no slouch, right? That's gonna be a better fight. That's gonna be a harder fight than what he had with the Puerto Rican kid. I don't ever remember his name, even though it's on the tip of my finger. I can't remember. Anyway, so what I want to say is that 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 Tevin Farmer fight, they're trying to push for a pay-per-view. Now here's the thing. I can't really afford it. Shit. Just not, his name is Robert Garcia was saying that he found out what Tevin Farmer was doing with his money, and he sort of got some insight into what Tevin Farmer was being paid, which is good money. And when he asked about a fight between Tank Davis and Tevin Farmer, he was saying, now, he got a good thing going on with Matchroom. He's got a good thing going on with the Zone. He's getting paid good money, 7 figures or something like that. Why? Why would he jeopardize that with a fight with Tank in which he could lose? You know, he could lose that fight. Why not let him marinate further? Peter Quillen was not Peter Quillen. Peter Quillen was talking about something else. Yeah, he was talking about Sean Porter versus Errol Spence. So I'll leave that out. But Tank versus Tevin, and he was saying what Robert Garcia was saying. He should do as many fights as he can, get as much money as he can when he's in a good situation. Then he could think about a Javante Davis fight. Makes sense. But here's what I would say. And in some respect, this it does make sense what he's saying. So I decided to look at something. I decided to look at something. Okay, Mayweather versus Pacquiao. I'm gonna talk about Mayweather versus Pacquiao, but earlier I want to look at Tevin Farmer versus Javante Davis and where they're at. Mayweather versus Pacquiao. If that fight had happened in 2010, what kind of resume would Pacquiao have had? What kind of resume would Mayweather have had? All right, let's look at that. So in 2010, let's look at Pacquiao's resume. 2010, Pacquiao had already faced the following people. We gotta go. Yeah, 2010. We'll start with the negotiations had in the beginning of 2010. They fell apart, right? So we're not gonna include Joshua Clay. But this is what Pacquiao had achieved at that point in time. He had beaten Miguel Cotto by stoppage, Ricky Hatton by stoppage, Oscar De La Hoya, his biggest fight, by stoppage, David Diaz by stoppage. He had a split decision draw with Juan Manuel Marquez. He had beaten Marco Antonio Barrera twice. He'd beaten Eric Morales 3 times. He had beaten former world champion Jorge Solis. He had beaten uh, he had a draw with Marquez. He had beaten. That's about it. And then he had a draw with Agapito Sanchez. He had beaten Leo Laduava, and he had a good fight with Nadal Hussein, was undefeated, as well as he had beaten Chachai Sasakul for the flyweight championship. Just hold on, let me see what he said. Don't forget to smash that like button, okay? Jackson the Hopeful says, who do you think won, Pac or Marquez in 1 and 2? I think the first one was a draw. The second one was close, split decision. It could have gone either way. Could have gone either way. That's a good fight. The first two were good. The third one, Marquez won that, and the fourth one, Marquez won that one. It's just my opinion. Yeah. So that's all those people Pacquiao had faced. Okay, he had faced a ton load of people. All right. He still hadn't reached the exclamation point of his career, but he had damn near done a hell of a lot of stuff. Okay, so that was his resume. Let's look at Floyd Mayweather. So in 2010, Floyd Mayweather's resume looked something like this. Well, he had faced Juan Manuel Marquez, Ricky Hatton, Oscar De La Hoya, Carlos Manuel Baldomir, Zab Judah, Arturo Gatti, DeMarcus Corley, Jose Luis Castillo, Jesus Chavez, Carlos Hernandez, Diego Corrales, Angel Manfredi, and Genaro Hernandez. Okay, so they both had incredibly good careers, but check this out. Okay? Jackson Delopo says Marquez looked like a cobra with his ginormous traps in the Fort Pack fight. Yeah, man, he was springing traps like crazy. That's true. That's how he caught Pacquiao. But Pacquiao was good too. He knocked down Marquez too. He was doing his trap set too. He was going in for the kill and he got killed. He was going in for the kill, boy. All right. Anyway, it was a very exciting fight. I'm not gonna lie. Marcus Pacquiao 4 was exciting. It was probably the best fight of all their fights. Anywho, it was a fight to the death, and Marquez won. Okay, so those are the resumes of Floyd and Pacquiao. But check this. Because they fought in 2015, which was 5 years later, let's see how their resumes improved, if at all, and what did it do for them. So let's start with Pacquiao. So Pacquiao, because they didn't make the arrangement in 2010, Pacquiao faced Joshua Clottey, and that was one of the most dominant performances of Pacquiao. Clottey hardly threw a punch. Pacquiao was I think he threw like over 1,000 punches in that fight, right? He then went on to do the incredible. He went to his 8th weight class. He made history by facing Antonio Margarito. So because they didn't make that fight, Pacquiao made history. Okay? He had his 8th weight class. He was a 7-weight class. This is his 8th weight class. Then he went on to dominate Shane Mosley, and then he faced Juan Manuel Marquez the 3rd time, in which we thought Marquez was robbed, but he still got a majority decision win over Marquez. And by the way, he was defending the WBO belts that he won from Miguel Cotto. Okay? After that, he goes on to lose to Timothy Bradley, who's his nemesis, and then he gets knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. His comeback fight is against Brandon Rios, in which he gets a unanimous decision win, showing how dominant he is. He gets back his win against Timothy Bradley, seizing the WBO title back, saying that's mine. And then he defends against Chris Algieri, knocking him down 6 times before he faced Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, the crazy thing about them not fighting was, after they didn't fight, Pacquiao peaked against the Antonio Margarito fight. That's probably the peak of his career, where he threw over 1,000 punches, destroyed Antonio Margarito's eye socket, and fought the biggest guy ever in his life, and was able to beat him. So Pacquiao just went off through the roof after the Antonio Margarito fight. Okay? But after that, in dominating Shane Mosley, he then had a tough fight with Juan Manuel Marquez, in which he got the victory, and then he lost to Timothy Bradley. So from the highs, he went to low, and after that loss to Timothy Bradley, he then got knocked the fuck out by Juan Manuel Marquez. Sorry about the curse word, guys. He got knocked the spark out by Juan Manuel Marquez, but in a fight in which he looked like he was going to KO Marquez. It was a very exciting fight. All right. So it was again Marquez and him. They just always have these close fights, but this time it was to the death. And Pacquiao died, and Marquez won. But Marquez won, having taken tremendous damage. His nose was split open, was streaming blood when he jumped up on the curtain to say, "I won." Okay, so it was a hell of a fight. Anyway, after that, devastating knockout, he came back just a year after and beat Brandon Rios, like how he beat up Antonio Margarito. He really beat that boy. He beat that boy bad. And then after that, he went on to face Timothy Bradley Jr., in which he avenged his loss. And then, of course, he beat up poor Chris Algieri, knocking him down unofficially 6 times. Officially 6 times, unofficially twice, which was a very dominant performance. And Chris Algieri thought he had the formula to beat Pacquiao, so did Timothy Bradley. All right, so then he faced Floyd Mayweather. Let's look at Floyd Mayweather's resume. What happened with him? Because Floyd Mayweather did not face Manny Pacquiao in 2010, he went on to face Shane Mosley, who had just knocked out Antonio Margarito. He then went on to face Victor Ortiz, who had beat Andre Berto. And then he stepped up in weight for the second time, and he faced Miguel Cotto. And what was a hell of a fight, much more grueling, much more engrossed, toe-to-toe battle. One of his tougher fights, I would say, in his career against Miguel Cotto. Hell of a fighter. Went to prison, came back out, faced Robert Guerrero, outboxed him, and that same year faced Saul Canelo Alvarez. Hell of a fight. Dominated him and put on a performance, probably his greatest performance ever. Because when you think about it, a guy that big as Canelo, and you tame that guy down, and not only did you tame, because they were saying Canelo chose to box Floyd, even if he chose to box Floyd, even if he chose to try and impose his weight on Floyd, Floyd kept on beating him. He kept on beating that boy. The boy changed tactics, I think close to the 8th round. He changed tactics and was trying to chase down Floyd, and he's still tagging his ass. Okay? He's still tagging his ass. So, I mean, they're saying Canelo was weight drained. Maybe. So was Miguel Cotto against Pacquiao. But the point is, anyway, how you take it, Canelo could not catch Floyd. He said he was just too fast. I couldn't catch him. That's what he said, And, he was young. I'm just going to say, I think that's one of his best performances ever because Canelo, you see what Canelo is now. Cotto was great too. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. I'm not going to lie to you. And you saw what Cotto did afterwards, right? So I'm just saying, I mean, yes, Sergio Martinez his foot was in a mess, but still Cotto did some incredible things. He's not supposed to even be fighting with Sergio Martinez. You know what I'm saying? Martinez is a bigger dude. But obviously Martinez's leg was messed up. So you can put that little caveat in there. But nonetheless, that was one of Cotto's best performances was against Martinez. Nobody could lie about that. It was his best performance, one of his best performances. Most dominant as well, against a guy with that kind of caliber. Yeah, we know Martinez's legs was messed up. We know this. But I'm just saying, right? Canelo, again, you could say Canelo was weight drained. It was true. No doubt about that. But he was dominating Canelo in the early rounds, too. He was dominating him in the early rounds. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're weight drained, you can at least deal with the early rounds. You fade as the fight goes on. You know what I mean? And Canelo was young, so his body could have recoup a bit. How old was he? 20 years old when he faced Floyd? He was young. So he could have handled that weight drain much better than an older guy. You know what I mean? Anywho, after Canelo Alvarez, he then had one extremely exciting fight, Marcos Maidana, in which Marcos Maidana proved that Floyd could have been an old school boxer. Because a lot of people talk about, the old school boxers, man. They would, they would bang your hand. They would elbow you. They would shoulder you. They would butt you. They would thumb you. They would hit you in the hip. You know what I'm saying? They hit you in the balls if necessary. But guess what? Marcus Maidana did all of the above and some. He bit him too. It was vicious. He bit him. He put him. He thumbed him. He hit him in the balls. He hit him in the hip. He kicked him. He kneed him. Marcus Maidana tackled him out almost out the ring. Okay, so if people want to know if Floyd could survive in an old school throwback fight, hell yeah, he could, right? All right, so that's just what it was. And I think Andre Ward would as well. Andre Ward was built like that. I think Pernell Whitaker too. So anyway, my point is that he had a very exciting fight with Marcus Maidana, two of them actually, before he faced Manny Pacquiao. True. But we don't see much of the sparring sessions unless you there and they allow you to see it. Yeah. You're right, man. I agree with you 100%. Sparring can be very vicious, more vicious than an actual boxing match. You're right. And even you see the more vicious side of a boxer who may be just a nice boxer in the ring, but you see why they're so tough when you actually see them in sparring. Yeah. That's true. That's very true. I've seen some sparring, dude. Yeah, it got crazy. You know what I'm saying? It got crazy. Yeah, but I was saying, so really, if you look at Floyd, between the time that the first set of negotiations failed, he was able to do some really incredible things. You know what I'm saying? Really incredible stuff. I'm gonna get to you just now. Hope, okay? But my point is, Floyd was able to accomplish some incredible things. Facing Canelo, facing Cotto. He faced, of course, Mosley when Mosley had just beaten Margarito. He faced Marcos Maidana. All of this he faced before Pacquiao. So this kind of boosts his resume, right? Pacquiao, he faced Antonio Margarito after those failed negotiations. He also faced Joshua Clottey, and that really boosted his reputation. Ran through Shane Mosley as well. The Timothy Bradley fight, people thought he was robbed, so there you go. So that didn't really hurt his reputation. The Juan Manuel Marquez fight made him a legend because both Marquez and he became legends off of that fight. Because that was an incredible fight in which Pacquiao was knocked out. He was out for a whole full minute, and Marquez was that stuff of legends. Okay, Marquez retired after that. I think Marquez ain't coming back to boxing ever. That's it. He died. He's good. He's good. All right. That's a legendary fight. That's a legendary fight. It's always going to be remembered. And I think that didn't do anything bad against. People said he need to retire. Once he came back out, boxed Brandon Rios and then beat Timothy Bradley, who was undefeated. He gave him his first loss, and then showed that he was informed by beating a smaller Chris Algieri, who thought he knew what he was getting into, but he did not know what he was getting into. I think that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight looked more lucrative than ever, and it's all about pay-per-view. If they fought back in 2010, they would never have made the money that they made in 2015. Just never would have. And the reason I think is because they looked more accomplished. They actually did some incredible things. Pacquiao went on to get his 8-weight class facing Antonio Margarito. Nobody ever thought Pacquiao would win against Margarito. Then he dominated Joshua Clottey. He was able to beat Shane Mosley. I'm just calling names. We know the situations. We know there was catch weights and all of that, right? But we're just saying, when you look at it as it progressed, he really looked really great. They thought he was robbed by Timothy Bradley. I thought Timothy Bradley won. And then after that, I thought that, it was a hell of a fight against Marquez. Marquez was always his nemesis. And Marquez got his victory over him, knocking him out. And he was knocked out for one whole fucking minute. And then after that, the beauty of Pacquiao was seeing him rebound from that. Because nobody ever recovered from getting knocked out on falling face first. Nobody in the history of boxing. That's what they said. And then Pacquiao did it. Pacquiao did it. He came back from that. Not only did he beat Brandon Rios, but he beat a game Timothy Bradley. Because Timothy Bradley thought he could knock him out like Marquez. And then he went on to show how dominant he was by beating up Chris Algieri. Poor Chris Algieri. I don't know what to say. Chris Algieri thought he had the formula to beat Pacquiao, and he was put on his ass twice. They say 6 times. I'm not going to count 6 times. Twice, okay? Manny Pacquiao. He's legendary, okay? But if they had fought, he would never fought Antonio Margarito, right? He never fought Antonio Margarito and get that legendary status of 8 divisional world champion. Maybe he would have, but I doubt it, because Floyd would have beat his ass in 2010. That's all I'm saying. If you like what you're seeing, smash that like button. Smash that like button. I like all you boxer people, man. Smash that like button. I'm just saying. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the Tevin Farmer, Gervonta Davis, they got to keep winning. But even if one of them loses, it depends on how they lose, right? Pacquiao looked like he was going to win that fight, and then he got knocked out with Marquez, right? People thought he was robbed with Timothy Bradley. So all I'm saying is his reputation remained intact. The only thing people wanted to know was, would he recover from that devastating knockout? Nobody ever did before, and he did, which was even incredible that he recovered from that. Not only did he recover, he started dominating people. Chris Algieri thought he was going to knock out Pacquiao too. It was really funny, right? So that roller coaster dramatic kind of career that Pacquiao had just made us want to see that Pacquiao Mayweather fight, in spite of the fact that Marquez knocked him out. And then Mayweather, his reputation, I think, benefited the most because he was able to face Miguel Cotto. He was able to face Canelo. He was able to face a really unorthodox, really rough and rugged guy in Marcos Maidana. I think these things only boosted Floyd's career. And so when these two actually met, as much as people say it's 5 years too late, when it comes to pay-per-view money, it wasn't 5 years too late. That thing made a ton of money. And I'm thinking now, Tank Davis, he needs to fight a guy with a name. So if he fights the Cuban kid, Yuriorkis Gamboa, if he faces Yuriorkis Gamboa, and then, of course, Tevin Farmer faces Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz is a reputable guy. Gamboa, he's kind of at the end of his road, but he's a reputable guy, and he ain't going to be no walkover in the park, that's for sure. He's still got his speed, still got his quickness, still got that ring IQ. So that would be a great fight for Gervonta, and Jojo Diaz would be a great fight for Tevin Farmer. And guess what's happening? That fight is building if they could get past those two guys. You know what I mean? So if they can get past those two guys, of course, the risk is always that, can they get past those two guys? Everybody's talking about Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, which is the fight that's building and brewing and brewing and building. The question is, can Errol Spence get past Sean Porter? You can't, it ain't going to have that kind of, shine and that kind of money that you want to rake in the pay-per-view if, Errol doesn't get past his opposition. And Crawford don't get past his opposition. And just imagine if Errol beats Sean Porter and then goes on to beat Manny Pacquiao. In the meantime, Terrence Crawford faces some reputable guy. I always say, make it to Kell Brook. I can see Bob Arum trying to stir up a Danny Garcia matchup. That would be perfect. That's a perfect matchup for Terrence Crawford. But if he can't get Danny Garcia, man, you got a good thing going on with Matchroom. Get Kell Brook. Get Special K. Pull him in. I've been telling. I mean, the formula's right there, man. If Errol is going to face two people, he's going to face obviously Sean Porter, and obviously Manny Pacquiao is waiting in the wings for that winner. If he can get Sean Porter and Manny Pacquiao, guess what? Terrence Crawford can get Special K, which is Kell Brook, and then Danny Garcia. I mean, he's faced Danny Garcia in the amateurs, and he's also faced Mikey Garcia in the amateurs. And Mikey Garcia looks like he's going across to the zone, which means Mikey Garcia might be facing Terrence Crawford. That might be the fight that Mikey Garcia is going to take. And again, it's about legacy. So even if he loses that fight, he'll always forever be tied to Terrence Crawford. And he already fought Errol Spence. So he'll be able to tell you, which of the two of those guys is better because he had to face Terrence Crawford and he had to face Errol Spence. Get it? I'm just thinking about that now. It might be Mikey Garcia who Terrence Crawford faces. And that's a good ass fight. I'm not gonna lie. I just thought about it. Jackson the Hopeful says Mayweather went to war with Spence before the Berto fight. Really? Okay. I thought it was only for the Guerrero fight because Guerrero's a southpaw. Okay. Is that so? I didn't know that. Jackson the Hopeful says Bob Arum basically said Kell Brook is nothing when Barbershop's conversations interviewed him, which means Bob Arum probably have something else up his sleeve because that Kavaskalis, whatever his name is, he's a top ranked fighter. I think it's just shit to be doing that fight. That's a shit fight for Terrence. And Bob Arum himself, said that Tyson Fury, is a superstar, and with Terrence is what did he say about Terrence? I can't remember what he said about Terrence. But I just don't feel like Top Rank is really promoting Terrence Crawford right, and I don't think they're trying to get fights for him that they should get. Like I always find that Bob Arum seems to be a kind of selfish promoter. That is, he prefers to have if his fighters will win, yeah, he'll do a matchup. So he took advantage of Golden Boy, but I find like Bob Arum, he don't really try to match up with nobody. If you really look at Bob Arum, he don't really do crossover fights, right? And again, my point to I think it was Unbiased Boxing, whatever his name is. My point is, when you talk about Eliter Alvarez went across the Top Rank. It wasn't Top Rank went across, to have a fight with PBC. There was a PBC fighter that went across the Top Rank. Because guess what? PBC fighters can do whatever the fuck they want. Al Heyman's not going to keep back a PBC fighter from facing a Top Rank fighter or anybody else. But, Top Rank, when has Top Rank ever done something with PBC? Right? And you can't really use Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury already did something with PBC, and even though he's being promoted by Top Rank in the United States of America, his promoter is really Frank Warren. It's a co-promotion, just like how Eddie Hearn co-promotes Tevin Farmer with Lou DiBella. Okay, so you can't. Lou DiBella is really Tevin Farmer's promoter. That's why Tevin Farmer pretty much can do almost anything. If Tevin Farmer wants to go across to Showtime, he can do it. And then the thing about Matchroom is they don't care. They don't match you up with anybody, and they just want the best fights. So, like, for instance, Anthony Joshua facing Andy Ruiz on Showtime is not a problem for Matchroom. They can make that happen. If that's all they want, not a problem. Because they may want to have it as a pay-per-view. You understand? Not a problem. You know what I mean? That would be great if it's a pay-per-view fight. Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. They need to build it up a little bit, but yeah, I'd say do it as a pay-per-view. Make some more money. You know what I'm saying? And then you can come back across to the zone. What I'm saying is, some promoters make things very hard. Bob Arum is alleging that Al Heyman doesn't want to do business with him. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because Alida Alvarez wouldn't do business with you if Al Heyman didn't want it happen. Because he's the manager. That's what you're saying. But again, I make the point that Al Heyman is not a promoter. Al Heyman's a manager. All he does is the fighter says, this is what I want to do. Al Heyman says, okay, I'll make that happen for you. All right? That's what Al Heyman does. Okay? And the reasoning that PBC gave for the WBO not being recognized by them is not just by Al Heyman. Al Heyman's probably the dude that's making it happen, but it's probably the fighters, the promoters, and as we said, most people in the boxing community who don't esteem the WBO that highly, and then on top of that, the WBO is paying favoritism. They're observing that because their fighters are not getting whatever. So I believe Al Heyman's just executing a part of a collective view by a bunch of boxers and managers and promoters and people in the PBC who feel, hey man, we're getting shortchanged by the WBO. We don't like that. So they stopped it. Now the WBO went out and put out as if they literally side with Terrence Crawford, and then they side with Bob Arum, and they side with ESPN, and they saying, this is to keep Errol Spence from facing Terrence Crawford, which to me is rather shallow. Why would you shut down a whole organization just for a fight? But that's what they're spinning it as. You know what I'm saying? And we all know. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you don't like what I'm talking about, fine. You can dislike it. I don't care. But um, if you do like it, please smash the like button. Show some love. Okay? If you like something, man, smash that like button. Okay. Back to what I was saying. So yeah. So it's one of those things um where you know um hey, Get the Smoke. What's up, my dude? Hey, let me tell you guys this. Get the Smoke is one of the most dopest people I've ever met. We argue all kinds of shit. I spent a greater part of my day arguing some points with Get the Smoke. I don't even know if we even finished some of those arguments. We went all over the universe. But shout out to you, my brother. Yeah, he's cool. He's a real cool dude. Yeah. So anyway, we still arguing something actually. You might go for the next couple of days. It's good, man. It's good. It's healthy stuff. I'll make sure I don't name call though. I'll make sure I don't name call. I don't mustn't get carried away like that. But I like it, man. It's actually highly entertaining talking to you. Get the Smoke. I really like you. You're cool. As well as Zone Six and Tommy Temper and Unbiased. Y'all is cool folks, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's good. I like people with different perspectives, to be honest. They challenge me, and I like that. Oh yeah. So back to what I was saying. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that yeah, man. Blessings to you, bro. Blessings to you. You're a good person. Um. So what I was talking about basically is with pay per view, you know, it can get busted real quick. But even this Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder could be a pay per view. It depends on what in the next couple of fights Anthony Joshua does, and of course, if Deontay Wilder can keep on dominating and winning the way he's doing, and even knocking out people, that could be a tremendous pay per view. Even if got knocked out in a very comprehensive fashion by Andy Ruiz. It depends on how Anthony Joshua does in the rematch. And the nice thing about it is there's a lot of tribal wars. So some people just think that Anthony Joshua's a fraud. I don't personally think he's a fraud. I think he's overhyped, like my boy Get the Smoke said. But I don't think he's fraud. He's the real deal, I think, and he gonna prove it with time, I think. Um, but I do believe that you find so. Honestly, I didn't see anything different in Anthony Joshua. That was just my opinion, though, Jackson the Hopeful. You think he looked a little out of shape or a little out of how he usually looked? To me, he looked like himself. I just think he soundly got his ass beat. Honestly, that's what I think. I think he was doing okay, and he got Andy Ruiz in trouble, and I think he just chose to engage and try and stop him, and that was his big mistake. I think that's it, really. I mean, honestly speaking, Andy Ruiz was getting that jab to the pit in on him from the first round, right? So we knew Andy Ruiz was going to close that gap. And Anthony Joshua needed to box from a distance. He needed to use his range. But against a guy like Andy Ruiz, that was going to be very hard. Because, see, that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. I was doing an argument with Thomas Hearns versus Floyd, and a lot of people think that Hearns would have beaten up Floyd at welterweight. And I was trying to explain to people how Floyd, Pacquiao, Canelo, Aaron Pryor, Mike McCallum, Pernell Whitaker, um, Andre Ward. These guys, well, Andre Ward a little bit less because, but anyway, he was kind of rusty. But anyway, Andre Ward to a lesser extent. But these guys know how to get past a jab. Not just past a jab, but also past your lead hand because there's always the 1-2. They know how to do that. They know how to slip past jabs. They know how to not just slip and slide, but they know how to move. How do I explain this? What is the word? Is it? It's not rock and roll. It's not pull counter either. But James Toney's another guy. But James Toney had limited footwork. That's the problem with him. Meaning, he fought at a certain range. You know, he fought either in the pocket. Well, mostly in the pocket. That's where he fought. But James Toney is included in that. These guys knew how to nullify a jab, take away your power hand, and get to the inside of you if necessary, right? And that's what I was really trying to say to get the smoke and to zone six. And they were talking about power, and I was like, it don't. I keep on telling people, power don't mean shit if you can't land it. You know, I can't see Thomas Hearns landing on Pernell Whitaker. I mean, Tito beat up Pernell Whitaker. He got a right hand in, right? He got a right hand in, but that's because Pernell Whitaker was using a different strategy, of course. But you think Tito could have beat Pernell Whitaker if you know the Pernell Whitaker that faced Oscar De La Hoya? You think Tito could have beat that guy? I don't think so. I don't think so. He ain't touching him. Oscar couldn't touch him. I don't think he could have touched him. You know, uh, Whitaker was flat-footed fighting Tito anyway. He decided, man, I'm gonna knock his ass out. He never knocked out people like that, but he said he was gonna knock his ass out. So he was on a quest to knock him out. Main reason was because he was robbed by Oscar De La Hoya. He was saying, you know what, I'm not gonna get no damn decision. I want to have to knock this guy out. So he decided to do that. But he was, he was, like they said, he was kind of going for one punch, which I thought was kind of dumb. But anyway, you know, Whitaker. If Thomas the Hitman Hearns could not, okay, I'm gonna ask y'all: would Thomas the Hitman Hearns knock out Pernell Whitaker? Would he knock him out? If you say no, remember that's Floyd Mayweather's father. That's a man who's proud of Floyd. He said, "I'll never say nothing bad about Floyd." Okay, that's what Pernell Whitaker said. A lot of people think that Pernell Whitaker was better defensively than Floyd. I'm one of them, but nonetheless. Floyd could do more defensively though. He can employ that same getting out of the way of punches, which Whitaker did, and he could also block punches, and he could also roll punches, and so on and so on and so on. I could tell you a lot more. And if you ever watch Floyd's uncle Jeff Mayweather as well, he also had a certain style: get low, shift your body weight from one foot to the next, do that upper body movement, aka Canelo James Tony kind of thing. So he could do that. Floyd had part of that. You saw part of Jeff inside of him. All right. Anyway, that's besides the point. My point is, do you think Thomas the Hitman Hearns knocks out Pernell Whitaker? I want to hear from you. Remember, Pernell Whitaker is not Wilfredo Benitez. Benitez used to square up. Whitaker didn't square up. Whitaker would turn you, right? He has beautiful turning work. Weird shit. They call it crossfoot movement. He could jab on the inside of you, and he could jab on the outside of you. He could land his lead left on the outside. He could land his lead left on the inside of you. I mean, just breaking down Pernell Whitaker just gives me, it's nuts what he did, right? But anyway, do you think, not could, probably he could. Anything's possible in boxing. But do you give Thomas the Hitman Hearns more than a puncher's chance against Pernell Whitaker? And Hearns could box, right? He could box. Don't get me wrong, he could box. But do you give him a puncher's chance, more than a puncher's chance against Pernell Whitaker? If you say no, and I say no, I don't know about you, but ain't nobody in boxing that could beat Pernell Whitaker, except for probably Floyd and there's two people I think about. If Pernell Whitaker was at 154 and he faced Mike McCallum, I think Mike McCallum takes it. And not because he's going to knock out Pernell Whitaker. He's not knocking out Pernell Whitaker because I know he's going to land some body shots on Pernell. I know he's going to land some body shots, right? Mike McCallum, that guy, I think in recent history that is, I think Mike McCallum could beat him. Okay, the other guy is Floyd, and I don't think Floyd beats him. If 10 fights happen, I think Pernell takes about 3 of the 10. I do not think that Floyd's just going to beat Pernell. It's just not going to happen because he's too hard to hit. He's too damn hard to hit. Too damn hard to hit. I know Floyd going to be hitting air for a good part of that fight, and Pernell going to be tagging him with that jab. I know it. So I know Floyd's going to adjust. He's going to make his adjustments. But I just know he ain't beating Pernell. He's not going to go 10 fights. You know how he boasts with Pacquiao? If we fight 10 times, we'll beat you 10. 100. That ain't happening with Pernell Whitaker, though. And he knows that. And you know what I feel when he first sparred Whitaker? I feel Whitaker schooled his ass and taught him a couple things, but realized how good he was because he was catching Whitaker still. I feel that's what went down. But I'm only assuming. I don't know. But let me see what you guys got to say about Hearns. Yeah, he got the dipsy dude. He used to dip that motherfucker. Bad. He was sweet, wasn't he? He was sweet to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, Whitaker's using a different style, all right. It's called cocaine. Ah, that's low, man. But it's all good. It's all good. You throw that jab. It's all boxing. I watched Trinidad Vargas earlier today. Good lord, that was wild. Those guys used to really go at it, didn't they? Get the smoke. Sweet at the dipsy dude, no doubt, no diggity. Jackson the hopeful. I think if Hurst fought Sweet Pete 10 times, he'd catch Whitaker maybe once. Yeah, he got a puncher's chance. To be generous, twice, so probably not. Yeah, he got a puncher's chance. He got more than a puncher's chance against Whitaker. Hearns had that jab and hand fakes. So yeah, but Whitaker had them angles, man. And remember, Whitaker had a good jab. If he was to box Hearns, Hearns wasn't going to touch him. You know that. You know that. He had to walk Hearns down. Hearns wasn't going to touch him. Hearns was so long, pause. So I cannot say he would not ever catch those dudes. I'm not saying that either. All I'm saying is Whitaker, I think, is just way too skilled to let Hearns with that long reach just catch him, because he's going to be turning Hearns. He's going to be turning, and you know Whitaker was great with those pivots. He was going to turn him. So that length and reach didn't mean shit, because Hearns will always be behind Whitaker. He'll always be one step ahead. You know. Now the difference is, I think Floyd would go get Hearns like Aaron Pryor. I think he'd go get him. Yeah, I'm saying Whitaker fights on the inside, but again, how Whitaker gets to the inside is interesting. Whitaker gets to the inside in a very interesting way, off the jab, and you guarantee Whitaker will make that an inside fight. And also, I think Floyd would make it. And the other thing about Whitaker will hit you on the hips. He tried to cripple you by hitting you on the hips too. He ripped them, and he had a nasty left body shot, man, to the liver. And Hearns at 147. His body wasn't. He was a powerful puncher, but he wasn't strong. You know, he was a great puncher, but he wasn't strong. You look at his body was too skinny. You hit him in the ribs, you taking the wind out of him. You knock it. You saw what Ray did to him. That Trinidad bar has nut punches and nothing. I'm not quite sure what you just said there. Get that smoke. That Trinidad bar has nut punches and nothing. That Trinidad Vargas. Oh, okay. That Trinidad Vargas. Yeah. It was wild. It was wild. It was wild. What the hell? It's 12 in the morning. I didn't even realize that. Guys, I gotta go to my bed. But what I was trying to say anyway was that, but why did I even get to that? My point is, oh geez, I went off course. My point was anyway that with pay-per-view, once you got a fight brewing, the more the fighters fight more impressive fighters, you know. Yeah, man, I gotta go to bed too. Peace to you, brother. The more impressive fights these guys fight, you know, it'll build more anxiety for a fight. And even if one of the guys loses in a very impressive fashion in an impressive fight, you know, once he comes back and kind of redeems himself, however he does that, kind of brings about that anxiety for the pay-per-view fight. So my point is, the building a pay-per-view, the principle behind it is not necessarily, it's once the public anticipates and wants a certain kind of fight, you know, peace, brother. Once the public anticipates and is thirsty for a certain kind of fight because they see these two fighters, if these two fighters continue to fight and they're doing more and more impressive things, you know, building up their resume when they actually do fight people. And then, of course, there was all this war of words in between and all this, you know, soap opera stuff going on. So people definitely wanted to see that fight, especially when they realized Pacquiao was still Pacquiao. Yeah, so that's why that fight made record-breaking numbers. I think it could still happen with Anthony Joshua and Wilder, but of course Wilder got to keep winning and Joshua got to show that he's Joshua. and continue to do impressive wins and dominate in the United States. I think Eddie Hearn is making a big mistake by having that fight in the UK, mainly because Joshua was trying to make his debut in the United States and he wasn't successful at doing it. What are you actually saying? You saying that he's going to stay in the UK for the rest of his days? He's got to come across the United States. Tyson Fury took a page out of, actually Tyson Fury did it first, and Anthony Joshua tried to take a page out of Tyson Fury's book. Tyson Fury's been successful at coming across the United States, and he's making a splash. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, he's going to stay back in the UK in his home turf. Come on, man, you gotta come back out here. Don't make Amir Khan look stronger than you. Amir Khan's got his ass knocked out in the United States a number of times, and he's still fighting in the United States. In fact, he went and fought in Saudi Arabia next. He's more global than anybody else. So I'm just saying, Amir Khan took the risk, and he did most of his fights in the United States. Kudos to him. James DeGale across the seas, fought in the United States, got a world title. He did it multiple times, defended his title multiple times. Against Anthony Durrell, and then against Badou Jack. And then you got Tyson Fury. So Anthony Joshua, man, you let Eddie Hearn know you ready to go back to Madison Square Gardens and finish what you started. That's what you should. You gotta put your foot down, Anthony Joshua, and make it happen. Instead of having it somewhere in the UK, your goal was to come to the United States. It was the coming of the king. Finish what you started, bro. And what that will do is it'll set up, and if he can avenge his loss and just get the W over Andy Ruiz, he don't even have to knock him out or stop him. But let's say he does. If he gets the W over Andy Ruiz, his next job is to defend that title again against somebody credible, maybe Jarrell Miller by that point in time, beat his ass, and then say, I'm back. You know what I'm saying? And that will make for a huge pay-per-view, because once people realize, oh, Anthony Joshua's back, he's back. Here we go again with the rivalry between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. That's what we want. We want that rivalry, right? Tyson Fury's cool, but we really wanted everybody really wanted Joshua versus Wilder. Oops. Okay. I just switched my camera. I'm just saying. So, it could still build. We'll see how things pan out. But at the end of the day, Joshua versus Wilder is what people want to see. And so if Joshua can prove that he can come back from that loss and rebound, that pay-per-view could be serious stuff, man. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is so we talked about Gervonta Davis versus Tevin Farmer. Again, I think they have a little ways to go if they want to do a pay-per-view. It looks like they can do a pay-per-view because Gervonta Davis is that big, and it doesn't matter who he's facing. He seems to, 15,000 people came to see Gervonta Davis in Baltimore, in the center. Sold out. Okay, that's more than what Danny Garcia did at the Barclays. So Gervonta Davis is bigger than Danny Garcia. That's what it's basically saying. And then that 500,000 views on Showtime, which is a subscription service, that's saying a lot. Okay, but we think it should marinate a little bit longer, maybe a fight or two. He's going to be facing Gamboa. That's a step up in a long time since the Puerto Rican kid. He's finally kind of doing a step up from the cab drivers that he's been facing. So Gamboa is going to be a step up. He's not going to be a step up from. I don't think he's quite a step up from. Well, he might be. He might be a step up. Excuse me. He will be a step up from whatever the guy's name is. I can't remember. Jose. Is it Jose? I can't remember his name. The Puerto Rican kid, who Loma also faced. Who Loma went 12 rounds with and could not stop. Okay? Not that Loma ain't no power puncher though, so it's all good. But the point is that Pedraza, right? Pedraza. No, Cuevas was not a cab driver. Correct, get this smoke. In fact, He was a former world champion. He did get his ass beat the fight before though. Cuevas was a good featherweight champion actually. Stepped up to super featherweight, faced Gervonta, and Gervonta crucified him. But he was a good fighter. He's a good fighter. Yeah, yeah. There are a couple of them. There are a couple of them. It's not just Cuevas. I think it wasn't just Cuevas. It was yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, I think that Gamboa is a step up from Cuevas. Clearly, he's a step up from Cuevas. This is Gamboa we're talking about. Uriel Gamboa. All right, and he's gonna be at his favorable weight class of super featherweight. So, you know, Davis versus Gamboa, that's a good fucking fight. Gamboa can fight. Gamboa can fight. So that's a great fight for Gervonta Davis. He's kind of catching Gamboa on the end of his career. I'm not going to say that he's old. I'm not going to say that, but I will say this is facts. He's catching Gamboa on the end of his career. That's a factual statement, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Yuriorkis Gamboa. But my point is that's a good fight. Jojo Diaz is on the other end of the spectrum. He's experienced young fighter, so Tevin Farmer's going to have his hands full with him. Gamboa's a 6-round fighter. I don't think I can't say. I can't say. From what I've seen, Gamboa went the distance with a number of people, including Ponce de Leon. Remember Ponce de Leon? And he boxed him. He got dropped by the Filipino kid. Got up and stuff, kept on fighting. So I wouldn't say he's a 6-round guy. I wouldn't say that. I mean, Terrence Crawford got him out in 9. It took him 9 rounds to get Gamboa out of there. A guy who's undersized, coming up from featherweight to face you at lightweight. You got so much trouble with that dude? I'm just saying. You know, no disrespect to Terrence Crawford, but I'm just saying. Gamboa, it just shows how good Gamboa is. You know? So, I wouldn't say he's a 6-round fighter. I wouldn't say that. No. But then again, I can go back and check and see. But I don't know. I don't see him as that. I never saw him as that. I just think he was out of boxing for such a long time, and now he got beat by some other guy about 2 years ago or something like that. I can't remember all the details, but I know some other guy beat him. He'll stop you though, or he'll drop you. He was almost stopped another guy, and then he went 12 rounds with the kid. Gamboa, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He just takes so many crazy risks at times. He gets bopped upside the head, and then he gets dropped or knocked out or whatever. I think he takes. I think he's a little bit more cautious now. Gamboa was 140 for a year before the Crawford fight. No, he was a lightweight. He fought one fight at lightweight actually, and that one fight at lightweight was before he faced Crawford. No, he was a featherweight, and then he fought one lightweight fight. That was against I'll tell you what the guy's name is. Just slipping me. Hold on. I hate when that happens. Lightweight, you mean? Not super lightweight. Lightweight. I just checked the records recently. He lightweight. For one lightweight fight. There it is. Yuriorkis. Careful. Look at it right here. Dalis Perez. For Dalis Perez. That was the guy. He had just he was super featherweight, sorry. He was a super featherweight, so he's going back to his weight class. He had faced Michael Farinas, who had knocked him down late in the fight. I think he had knocked down Farinas early in the fight, something like that. And he went the distance with him, and then he went up to the lightweight division. It was just one division up, actually. And faced Dali Perez. And then he was off of boxing for a whole entire year and 20 days before he faced Terrence Crawford. He had no fights. He was supposed to face Mikey Garcia, didn't have. And that's what's up. It was just one weight class he went up. He's 37 now, though. He's pretty old. Yeah, Dalis Perez. I think that was at lightweight. That's one. Let me get the actual weights. Let me get the actual weights for you. Gotta log into BoxRec to get that. But anyway, my point is, Gamboa is still a good fight for a guy like what's his name? Uh, yeah, it was 134 and a half. It was lightweight. Dallas Perez. Before that, he faced Ponce de Leon. Jorge Solis was still fighting. He faced him. Orlando Salido. Yeah, actually beat Orlando Salido. That was at featherweight. That was at featherweight. Jorge Solis too was at featherweight. First lightweight fight was where? Super lightweight fight was where? Super featherweight, sorry. Super featherweight fight was with Michael Farinas. So Michael Farinas was super featherweight, and then he jumped up from super featherweight to lightweight. So he was actually mostly fighting at lightweight. He's a low-rating lightweight champion. Yeah. Yep. Then he went up to super featherweight, and then he went up to lightweight. Anyway, so my point anyway is that you can actually, build up to pay-per-view status, and but you have to keep winning, or even if you do lose in spectacular fashion, you gotta catch back up on that and make things happen. But again, Pacquiao's resume after the negotiations fell through actually went up because he faced Margarito and he avenged his losses and all that kind of stuff. Floyd absolutely went up because he faced Cotto and he faced Canelo and he faced Maidana. So when those two clashed, it was really good pay-per-view numbers because of that, because they were looking good still. And I think it could happen with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, something everybody wanted to see, as well as I think it can happen with Tevin Farmer and Gervonta Davis. I think it can happen. I think they could actually make a good pay-per-view. Um, there was a certain guy called who I don't know if he ever had a pay-per-view card, but was on pay-per-view, and that would be what's his name? El Finito Lopez. He used to be on pay-per-view, right? And they did pretty decent numbers, not great numbers, but good numbers. But I think he was on a pay-per-view card. I don't think he ever headed a pay-per-view, but I could always check out the history of that. But the point is, to become a pay-per-view star, all you got to really do is make above 300,000 pay-per-view numbers. 300,000 to 350,000 is good pay-per-view for your first pay-per-view. Wilder and they, I think, made something like that. Wilder versus Tyson Fury made something like that. It's great pay-per-view buys, okay? So your first pay-per-view, you're not expected to make 450 or 500,000 pay-per-view buys. No. Of course, if you make 100 or less, that's a flop. But otherwise, you're doing just fine with pay-per-view. So that's the beginning. That's how pay-per-view goes. You got your beginning pay-per-view. So, Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, they made 400,000 pay-per-view buys, I think it was. Pacquiao Thurman made 500,000 pay-per-view buys, or 550, something like that. And those are good pay-per-view numbers. Pacquiao, Adrian Broner made 400,000 pay-per-view buys. That's not bad at all. So my point being that in terms of pay-per-view buys, you build it up. You build up the resume of the guys. It really helps the guys when they actually fight people that are worth fighting. That helps to build up towards your pay-per-view. So, Triple G fought Danny Jacobs, which is why, his pay-per-view against Canelo, Canelo alone probably carried most of that pay-per-view, but his pay-per-view buys against Canelo actually passed 1 million pay-per-view buys, which is impressive. And then the rematch, I think it made less than the first one, but it still passed 1 million pay-per-view buys. That's some big ass money you just made there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying. Um, When they do the third one, it's probably not gonna make as much as the first and second, but maybe they get somewhere in the ballpark of a million pay-per-view, a million subscriptions. I don't know what they're gonna do because the zone is gonna be on the zone. So it's not gonna be pay-per-view buys, but probably subscription-wise, the zone gets more subscribers. They do need it, and they have a hell of a good fights. They have hella good fights. And Matchroom, they some of their fighters lose, some of their fighters win. You know what I mean? So if it's one thing that they're doing is great matchups, and I give Matchroom kudos for that. In a way, their fighters kind of suffer by getting an L, but they also get respect. People always want to watch Matchroom for, at the zone for fights. So I'm cool with it. Gotta get my zone subscription. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for now. With in terms of pay per view, I was observing it. And I was listening to what Robert Garcia said, and I thought, hey, let's express those views of those things and see what people think about it. So that's basically all I got for now. Chew, you guys have a good one. Shout out to you, Get This Smoke. I gotta go to my bed and sleep at some point. But in the meantime, you guys have a good one. I wanted to talk about some other upcoming fights. I think I did already in a video before. But there's just one thing that kind of strikes my eye. Peace to you, brother. It's already morning. It's already Wednesday morning here. I think we're 3 hours or 4 hours ahead of you. Right, so I just wanted to say, Marcus Brown versus Jean Pascal. That should be a good fight. Jean Pascal's kind of wild, though. I guess they're doing it in Canada. But I have Marcus Brown winning that southpaw. And Adam Kawanaki, somebody we were discussing today, Get the Smoke. I think he's going to be facing Chris Arreola. So we'll see how that Polish fighter. You know those Polish fighters are tough. And they got basic, rudimentary, fundamental skills in boxing. So we'll see how he does against Chris Arreola, if he'll knock him out or just beat him. Why did I know? And this one's on the lower end. It must be sunny by you too, because I know the sun goes down late. Curtis Stevenson versus Wale Omatosa. Wale Omatosa's been around for like forever. Curtis Stevenson also. They're two muscles going to fight. That's great. And if you like women's boxing, Joanna Pastrana is going to be facing Yokasta Vale or Val. So that's what's up for the weekend. You know my picks. My picks go like this. Marcus Brown beats Jean Pascal. Adam Kawanaki beats Chris Arreola. Maybe even stops him. Because Chris Arreola don't have the best defense in the world. And Curtis Stevens beats Wale Omatoso. So that's what I got. You guys have a good one. I'm going to be out of here for a minute. Virgil Ortiz, by the way, Jr., he's going to be facing next week, the Saturday after. Virgil Ortiz Jr. will be facing Antonio Orozco. Virgil Ortiz, I think Jr. is in the Robert Garcia gym. Yeah, so that's what I got. I can't wait for Saturday the 24th of August when Juan Francisco Estrada, he's going to be fighting. I'm a big Juan Francisco Estrada fan, and he's, what is he? I can't even remember what weight class he is. He's not super flyweight. He's bantamweight, I think. I think he's a bantamweight now. I also want to watch that series of bantamweight with Nonito Donaire versus something Anui. That's going to be a good-ass fight. I wonder if Anui will beat Donaire. How does Donaire beat Anui? That's the question. How does the old guy beat the young guy? Can he do it? I don't know. Anui's on a tear. So we'll see. Those are good fights. If you have not seen Anui, you should really go and watch Anui. You know, who's another cool guy? We don't hear about him too much anymore. Payano beat him, and then he beat back Payano. I forgot what his name is. Just now, it comes to me. Juan Carlos Payano. That's what it is. And he's an exciting fighter, very fast. From Adrian Broner's gym. Juan Carlos Payano. Oh, you mother. Yes, Mayano. Doing payability. What the hell is that? What the fuck is this? Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not stupid phone. This one putting up his ass up. I get angry and then I start to curse. Hold on a sec. Thank you. So much patience you must have. Yes, let go of that. Baby back here. Rashid Warren, that's the guy. Rashid Warren. Man, I couldn't figure out his name. Rashid Warren, yeah. Rashid Warren. From Cincinnati, Ohio, baby. Bantamweights. Rashid Warren. Yeah. Alright, people. I'm out of here. Deuces.